Areas that are rich in species diversity are called as hotspots, the hottest spots for species diversity, and tropical rainforest comprise only 7% of land on Earth, but nearly 15% of the species on Earth are present there. The British biologist Norman Myers coined the term biodiversity hotspot in 1988. According to him, biodiversity hotspot is a biogeographic region characterized both by exceptional levels of plant endemism and serious levels of habitat loss conservation. Internationally adopted Myers saw the concept of hotspots and made it extensive global study of hotspots in 1999. According to CIS, qualified as a hotspot, the region must meet two strict criteria. It must contain at least 1,500 species of endemic plants. It must have lost at least 70% of its original habitat. In 1999, CIS book hotspot Earth's biologically richest and most endangered terrestrial ecoregions identified 34 biodiversity hotspots in the different countries of the world. Currently, there are 34 biodiversity hotspots that could have been identified. Most of them occur in tropical forests. They represent just 2.3% of the Earth's land surface, but between them, they contain around 50% of the world's 34 biodiversity hotspots are tropical Andes, Mesoamerica, the Caribbean islands, Atlantic forest, Tumbes, Choco, Magdalena, the Cerrado, Chilean winter rainfall, Valdivian forest, Chilean winter rainfall, Valdivian forest, Madagascar and the Indian Ocean islands, coastal forests of eastern Africa, West Guinean forest of West Africa, a floristic region, Koru, Mediterranean Basin, Caucasus, Sundaland, Valencia, Philippines, Indo-Burma, mountains of southwest China, Western Ghats and Sri Lanka, southwest Australia, New Caledonia, New Zealand, Micronesia, woodlands, Albania, Afromente, Africa, Irano-Anatolian, Central Asia, mountains of Central Asia, Eastern Himalaya, Japan, East Melanesian islands, endemic plant species, and 42% of all the terrestrial vertebrates are present there. India's four biodiversity hotspots, they are the Western Ghats, the Himalayas, the Indo-Burma region and the Sundaland, include Nicobar group of islands. Endangered species are endangered or threatened plants and animals are present in immense amount of natural heritage that are declining rapidly. The International Union for Conservation of Nature classified species based on the nature of the depleting numbers. IUCN's Red List of Threatened Species identified in 1964 is the world's most inventory of the global conservation status of biological species. Species are classified by the IUCN Red List into 9 groups specified through criteria such as rate of decline, population size, area of geographic distribution, and degree of population and distribution fragmentation. Extinct species, EI says the species has disappeared and no known individuals are remaining extinct in the wild. DW known only to survive in captivity of a naturalized population outside its historic range. Critically endangered CR species that have been drastically dwindled and are extremely at high risk of extinction in the wild. Endangered EN high risk of extinction in the wild. Vulnerable VU high risk of endangerment in the wild. Near threatened NT likely to become endangered in the near future. Endemism is an ecological word meaning that a plant or animal lives only in a particular geographical location such as specific island, habitat, country or any defined zone. For example, Asiatic line of the Gir forest of Gujarat, the Kashmir stag known as Samgol which is found in the riverine province of Kashmir Valley, and Chamba in Himachal Pradesh. Lion-tailed macaque is India's most threatened monkey which is endemic to the western Ghats of South India. Conservation International (CI) is an American non-profit environmental organization founded in 1987 in Virginia and its goal is to protect nature for source for food, fresh water, livelihood, and the stable climate. CI has helped to support 1,200 protected areas across 77 countries, safeguarding more than 601 million hectares of marine and coastal areas. These concern lowest risk, widespread, and abundant conservation dependent CD. This group has now merged with near threatened, data deficient, not enough data to access the risk of extinction of the species not evaluated, species not yet been evaluated against the criteria in the context of IUCN Red List. Threatened embraces the three categories: of critically endangered and vulnerable. According to the IUCN, these species are dwindled drastically under cleared as critically endangered and are included in this red list. Species that have disappeared are called extinct species. In the red list of 2012 that was released on 19 July 2012 at Rio Plus 20 Summit, 19,817 species were threatened with extinction. Hawaiian plant species called alula, locally referred to as cabbage or stick, has moved from critically endangered to extinct in the wild. It is one of the 38 red-listed Hawaiian plant species with less than 5 wild individuals remaining. It is used to grow on the windy cliffs of Hawaii. Alula was destroyed by hurricanes Iwa and Inki in 1982 and 1992, leaving only less than 10 plants alive. The majority of the great ape species are now critically endangered. The eastern gorilla, the largest living primate, is endemic to the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, southwestern Uganda, and Rwanda. This species was listed as endangered, as moved to critically endangered in 2016 due to an ongoing population decline. This decline is due to illegal hunting and restriction of forests for agriculture. IUCN Red List of Threatened Species, also known as the IUCN Red List or Red Data List, found in 1964, is the world's most comprehensive inventory of the global conservation status of biological species. The International Union for Conservation of Nature (IUCN) is the world's main authority on the conservation status of species. A series of regional red lists are produced by countries or organizations which assess the risk of extinction to species within a political management unit. Extinction is defined as the permanent disappearance of an organism from the face of Earth. In other words, extinction means a loss of biodiversity, sudden and rapid environmental changes, disease, infections, forest fires, volcanic eruption, direct hunting, ecological substitution by species of large carnivore animals which compete for the same food resources, climate change, extinction of weak species, man-induced environmental changes also cause species extinctions. Between 1600 and 1900, it is estimated that one species went extinct every 4 years. In modern times, the rate is soaring. This could be attributed to a rapid increase in population during the same period of time. According to IUCN, the rate of extinction of mammals and birds had started much earlier, by 1500 itself, at a much faster rate. Despite rapid efforts in protecting terrestrial and marine habitats, world's diversity of species is still dwindling. Since the 1960s, over 100,000 protected areas have been established. This represents 11,265 408 square kilometers of land and 1,609,344 square kilometers of ocean. Yet terrestrial and marine species have declined over the same period. This suggests that the government conservation strategy of protecting areas of land and sea is inadequate. Conservation of biodiversity, the proper management of biosphere the human beings in such a way, and it also develops its potential to meet the needs of the future generations. The three basic objectives of biodiversity conservation are to maintain ecological process and life supporting systems to preserve the diversity of species, to make sustainable utilization of species and ecosystems. There are two types of conservation. In situ conservation means conservation of species within their natural habitats. This involves identification of species-rich areas and adapting methods to protecting them in the form of national park or wildlife sanctuary or biosphere reserve. In this way, biodiversity can be conserved in the natural environment habitat from human activities. In situ conservation means breeding of endangered plants and animals under controlled conditions in specific areas like zoos, garden, nurseries. Other examples of etc. Conservation include seed gene bank, feed gene bank, botanical gardens. In situ protected area network, sacred groves, biosphere reserves, national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. Ex situ sacred plants, swarm gardens, seed banks, field gene banks and cryopreservation, botanical gardens, arborata, zoological gardens, aquaria. India is one of the 17 biodiverse countries of the world, with only 2.4% of the world's Land area, 16% of the world's human population and 80% of livestock. It contributes only 8% of the non-global biodiversity index, and India has a number of most endangered species like Asiatic lion, Asiatic elephant, on rhinos, Gangetic river dolphins, snow leopards, Kashmir stag, dugong, gharial, great Indian bustard, lion-tailed macaque. The following steps have been taken to protect and manage the wildlife. The government of India enacted the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 with the objective of effectively protecting the wildlife of the country and to control poaching, smuggling, and illegal trade in wildlife and its derivatives. The National Board for Wildlife, chaired by Prime Minister of India, provides for policy framework for wildlife conservation in the country. The National Wildlife Action Plan was adopted in 2002, emphasizing the people's participation and their support for wildlife conservation. Indian Constitution lays the subject of forests and wildlife in the concurrent list, thus laying the responsibility of wildlife conservation on both the center and the state. Specialized projects to save the endangered species of animals. Name the Project Tiger 1973, Operation Crocodile 1975, Project Rhinos 1987, Project Snow Leopard, Project Elephant 1988, Project Sea Turtle 1999. The protected areas are those in which human occupation is small and exploitation of resources is limited. There are four categories of protected areas: national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, conservation reserves, and community reserves. National parks in India are IUCN category 11 protected areas. National parks, 103 national parks, wildlife sanctuaries 537 wildlife sanctuaries, conservation reserves 67, community reserves 26. Total protected area 733. A national park is an area with ecological, geomorphological, and natural significance with rich fauna, flora, and designed to protect and to develop wildlife and the its environment. Activities like grazing, hunting, forestry, or cultivation, etc. are strictly prohibited. No human activity is permitted inside the national park. India's first national park was established in 1936 as Highly National Park, now known as Jim Corbett National Park, Uttarakhand. There are 103 national parks in India. National Wildlife Database, April 2015. The difference between wildlife sanctuary and national park lies mainly in the rights of people living inside. In a sanctuary, certain rights are allowed, but in national park, no rights are allowed for grazing of any livestock. In a wildlife sanctuary, the chief wildlife warden may regulate, control, or prohibit certain activities. There are a total of 537 wildlife sanctuaries in India.